In the quiet corridors of the Vatican, amidst centuries of tradition and formality, there was a secret story that few knew. It wasn't written in the papal records or spoken about in official addresses. It was the story of Pope Francis' greatest act of mercy, hidden from the public eye, but echoing in the hearts of those who witnessed it. It all began on a rain-soaked afternoon in Rome. The Pope had just finished his regular address to thousands gathered in St. Peter's Square. As he was being escorted back inside, his eyes caught a figure, a frail old woman, shivering near the massive gates. She wasn't there to ask for blessings. She wasn't there to witness history. She was there because she had nowhere else to go. Most guards ignored her. They were trained to prioritize the Pope's safety. But Pope Francis stopped. He looked at her, really looked. And in that moment, he made a decision that would ripple far beyond the Vatican walls. "Bring her to me," he said softly. The guards hesitated. A beggar? Here. But the Pope insisted. When the woman was brought to him, she could barely speak. She had no family, no shelter, and was battling the final stages of cancer. Her name was Maria Gentile. She was 82 years old, a former schoolteacher who had lost everything: her home, her savings, her friends. The Pope knelt in front of her, placing both hands on her trembling shoulders. "You are not invisible to God," he whispered. Right then, right there, Pope Francis made a decision that would never make headlines, because he didn't want it to. He secretly arranged for her to be cared for inside the Vatican's private medical wing, usually reserved for high officials. Over the next few weeks, Maria lived inside the Vatican, not as a charity case, but as a guest of honor. Pope Francis visited her often. He would sit beside her bed, listen to her stories, pray with her. He even arranged for a group of local children to visit and sing songs for her. Maria loved children. It reminded her of her teaching days. One evening, as the setting sun painted the Vatican walls gold, Maria asked the Pope, "Why me, Your Holiness? Why would you care for someone like me?" Pope Francis smiled, tears glistening in his eyes. "Because you are a daughter of God, and because mercy isn't just something we preach, it's something we must live." A few days later, Maria passed away, peacefully, her hand held by Pope Francis himself. He didn't issue a statement. There was no grand announcement. He simply mourned her in silence, like a family member lost. But those who worked closest to him, those who witnessed his quiet compassion, would never forget it. This was Pope Francis's greatest act of mercy. An act so pure, so selfless, that it needed no audience, no recognition, only love. Years later, a young seminarian who had heard whispers of Maria's story would write, "In a world hungry for miracles, perhaps the greatest ones are the silent acts of love witnessed only by heaven."